Okie dokie, and we are back for the last segment here for this painting. So let me turn on the layer called Paint 2. The first one's called Plate, just a quick review. Then we have Paint, and now we have Paint 2. So let me turn off all these layers to go step by step on what I've done. Turn those off. All right, here I bring in a little bit more value. Let me go to my top layer. Boonk, boonk. All right. So we do the same thing. We brought up the light value a little bit hotter to be here, so we look like so it looks like lights of this human inhabitant. This little layer is actually something to show the students. Normally, I don't use this technique at all, which is copying the entire layer from underneath over to this layer. It's a quick trick you could do in Photoshop. For example, I want to capture everything down here. I want to copy and paste everything. But right now you can't, right? Because they're all in different layers. So if I do a copy, a regular copy, it just copy whatever selected. But you could hold down, if you're a PC user, you could hold down Shift Control and select all. Right. Actually, you could just select all and then Shift Control copy, which I'm doing right now, and paste. You can see right now I paste it back. If you look at the layer, whatever's underneath everything or whatever's being shown on screen is what it pastes. Right, so you paste the whole thing up. This is quite useful for certain things, but I don't use it as often because that means everything underneath is no longer relevant. For example, I paste that back. I turn off these layers down here. You see, it doesn't do anything. It's because this image up here is overriding everything underneath these layers. So these layers essentially become sort of useless. Yeah. So, but this is just the thing I was trying to show students how you could do that. And to save time, I just left it there and continue working on top of this. This is more beneficial for certain things. For example, you have two images that you worked on, and you want to let me just show you what I mean. Let's do a quick example of how to use this. For example, you have these marks over here, yeah, that you painted across. But you want these marks to stick in this image, but you want to get rid of some of it, but it's already being flattened. Yeah. One of the best ways you could do that is to do a copy and paste. Right. Let me see how to actually do that with the image below it. So this is image below. I could do a copy. I could do a paste. Yeah. And now by erasing this, you see this image is actually flat. This is a flattened layer, right? And I got rid of the red layer, so pretend the red layer is actually flattened out, so it's gone. Yeah, so let's delete that. So this is actually stuck. This red lines are on this layer. There's nothing I could do about it. You know, it's flattened out. It's not on its own layer, as you can see here from the layer group. But because I copied and pasted the whole thing over the original image, I can actually erase out the original image, revealing the previous image underneath. Now this is a kind of a bad example, but it's definitely very useful thing you could do depending on what you're working on. It's kind of hard to find a reason. Maybe in the next tutorial or something I can show you how this actually gets used. You see, I erased the red line out even though it's flat. So if you look at the layer here, you can see all this kind of white transparency, right? So there's the original image, here's the flat now. So anyways, there's pretty good uses for this technique. In this one, not really, don't need to use it, but just something that maybe some of you will find useful. Here I pasted in a old tree of some kind. You see, boom. Just to, again, tricking the human eye. When the human eyeball see things like ferns, whereas they see roots, they're going to think, oh, plant life, jungle. So even though we don't render any kind of jungle around this, the human brain is going to think this building is surrounded by jungle. Right? Just tricking the brain. Painted more details here. Quick stuff. Like you can see I actually painted some railings in here. So some indication of people. So there's a staircase, there's a railing. These kind of human level detail is what's going to sell the scale. People recognize things like this. People recognize railings, they recognize other silhouettes. So by doing this, now I know how big the scene is. Yeah, these details. This is a quick value separation. I felt like the dark windows in here are a little bit too dark in value. So if I turn the black and white layer on, you can see quite dark. So I want to bring that contrast down with a little bit local volumetric fog. You see, so here, those are turned off. A few more details with this layer. This layer really added not that much stuff at all, just some miscellaneous details here and there. Some vines you can see here. Here's off, here's on. Right. Here's a couple more details. These are more texture details. You can see this is a pretty good one here. Kind of just destroyed walls. This scene is supposed to be more of a post-apocalyptic, you know, this building is destroyed, it's being molded over, these plants are growing. So the paint on here can't be new anymore. So we're gonna kind of put these textures in there to make the building look more old, moldy, and all that kind of stuff. This layer is a quick one to add some life to this, some smoke and some fire. Yeah, and have that run through, which is good for composition as well. It leads the eye throughout the entire piece, so you could read this way, and also it helps bring the eye back into itself as well. Yeah, and I haven't lit this section yet. It's just going to be lit up to create that nice contrast. Oh, I want to go back and show which layer I did in little sniper nest. Here it goes. I kind of like this design up here, you know, kind of like a little bit of sniper roost. So the player, or you know, if you're watching this in a film, but in this case, this is probably more fitting for a video game, which is quite cool. So you could, so the player could look up and see this little sniper nest. Perhaps the AI enemy could be up here shooting at you, and then later on, you can make your way through here, go through the building, and end up somewhere over here. Good stuff for gameplay. You know, it's just fun. Video games meant to entertain. So, and you want to entertain the player constantly, even with the visuals. So if I walk up to this scene, I know I need to either explore here or kill whatever's here. It's just fun. It makes you want to go here. And if you see this, it makes you want to go here as well. Yeah. So it's like, hey, that guy was shooting me. In about a few minutes, I'll be up here shooting other people. You know, it's kind of fun stuff in a video game context. All right. This layer, actually, I have no idea what's on it. Probably blank. Sometimes I'm teaching, talking, you know, doing these demos live. I mean, keep in mind when I'm doing these paintings, I'm actually talking to the class as well. So sometimes I make little small mistakes like these, you know, blank layers. No idea what it does. But I'll leave it on there just in case there's something important. But so far I have no idea what's on it. Nothing. Blank. Okay. This layer, quick fire. I added the smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You see here's the smoke. Previously there was no fire, so we just brighten up the fire a little bit. So there's the little burning fire. More volumetric fog to decrease the value contrast up here. You can see what it done. Because we're trying to bring the eye back into this little nest over here. Uh-oh, another blank layer. I don't know. No, little bit of darkness in the front, just a little bit, because I think I felt like this area here, this grass. Where's my little layer here? It's too high contrast, a little too bright. I want to keep the eye here, so I just darken those down. You can see, whoops, bonk. Yeah, darken it just a bit, you know, 20% or so. Go back to this layer. This layer barely added anything, just that there's a fire here, some light source, so some of these railings are going to catch a little bit of that highlight. See? And nothing up here really. Here's my foreground tree element. This is debatable. I could go this painting with or without this tree here. You know, I think it looks fine either way. But just showing the student how we could bring in some foreground elements in here. We brought in some of these foreground trees in very dark silhouette. Again, this is debatable. You can take it out, take it, leave it in. It doesn't really matter. Here are some plants as well. Because without these elements, it already has foreground elements. You see, if I take this out, it kind of opens up the canvas. All this is open up. It's not a bad thing. And also these kind of plants and these ferns already serve as foreground elements. As a human being, when you see something like this, you kind of know the scale already. You know that ferns are not going to become ginormous. You know that a person standing here is probably about this big. Yeah? Something like this. So it establishes that scale. So by the time this person gets over here, he's about, you know, something maybe about this size, maybe that size there, right? By the time he gets over here, it's about this size. By the time he gets here, he's about that size. You see, so the foreground element serve this purpose to establish scale. So yeah, debatable if these are here or not. It's up to you. So in this case, I don't really like, you know, I don't mind. Just let's keep them for now. We can always take it out. This little light source is to, remember we talked about very early in the beginning, I want to light this up to create this kind of 1-2 punch on the value. So this layer did that. Again, a little bit of dodge, quite simple, very quick. And brings a little bit attention to this sniper nest, which is quite neat, you know. Boom. So make sure it doesn't get too airbrushed out. Just keep it nice and settled. And we continue with some further detail. This one just add a little bit more crumbly rocks, little holes, bullet markings. Maybe they had a fight here.